Medical personnel would have no longer been required to report potential domestic or sexual abuse. That's what change Assembly Bill 2790 would have brought to the state. But AB 2790's journey through the state legislature came to a halt last week. Former San Diego City Attorney Casey Gwinn told the Times of San Diego he credits media coverage leading up to the Senate hearing for stopping the bill. The bill, authored by Democratic Assemblywoman Buffy Wicks and co-authored by Democratic Assemblywoman Cristina Garcia, sought to remove the requirement of healthcare practitioners to notify police of suspected domestic violence. However, Jean Cirillo, an attorney and psychologist, says medical professionals can help people stuck in violent situations get out.
What helps is if a third person in the form of the mental health professional gets in there and reports it and says, we have to report this. You need to be monitored. You need to join a group for abuser treatment, anger management, and then the government agencies will stay on them.
The proposed bill states that instead of notifying police, a healthcare professional should, quote, provide brief counseling, education, or other support, and a warm handoff or referral to local or national domestic violence or sexual violence advocacy services. Cirillo says mandatory reporting is important because some victims may often be too scared to reach out or tell the truth.
I had a couple that came to me and they came together. The wife had kind of dragged him into counseling as a last resort to divorce. And he was nice and laid back. If anything, he started to talk about the few times that she bit him, scratched him, pushed him. And, I thought these are all things that we do when we're in a clinch and we're trying to get away from the other person.
Cirillo says the wife just sat there quietly.
The next session, she comes alone. She's crying her eyes out, bawling, saying she was afraid to tell the truth because if she told the truth, she would have to live with him for the next week until the next therapy session. And she was afraid of him. First of all, she was afraid to leave with the kids. She was afraid he'd get the kids. She was afraid she would have no help financially because she had a child that was an infant, so she couldn't go back to work full time. But most of all, she was afraid of getting beat up or killed.
Wicks wrote on Twitter last June that mandatory reporting is keeping victims of domestic and sexual violence from reaching out for help. But according to Joyce Bilyeu, a domestic violence survivor and deputy director of the Sacramento Regional Family Center, victims rarely voluntarily report. She said, I have been working with survivors for 40 years now as a professional, and I have never once encountered a victim not wanting to get the medical treatment they needed out of fear of a report being made to law enforcement. AB 2790 is currently placed on hold in the Senate Appropriations Committee.